John.
As well.
Where are you?
Occupied.
I've got a problem.
Russians?
Where travel's fast. Chemical weapons have fallen into terrorist hands. They could be anywhere. Paris, New York.
London.
When can you brief?
We just did.
Who's your crew?
Sergeant Garrett.
Kyle?
They call him Gaz. He never said anything. John Tavish, SAS, sniper, demolitions, goes by SOAP.
Why?
It's classified. There he is. Simon Riley.
There's no picture.
Never. Not a rest. That's neat to know. Unless we go deal.
What are you calling this task force?
141.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for Activision and Infinity Ward ever since Call of Duty Modern Warfare was revealed back in May. There was outrage over the rumored use of white phosphorus. There was anger over the child soldier sections. The internet was also fuming over Spec Ops mode being made a timed exclusive for PS4 owners. And there was controversy over rumors you'd be able to kill unarmed civilians. It seemed as though Modern Warfare just couldn't escape the heat. The developers in Activision have done their best absorbing some of those blows. They promised a multiplayer campaign that features crossplay, cross progression, no loot boxes, no seasons pass, and a battle pass system with only cosmetic items and boosts. Not to mention the single player mode is back, so despite some of that backlash, fans seem jacked about this year's installment in the franchise. And frankly, they should be. I can confirm Infinity Ward followed through on all their promises. Modern Warfare's crossplay abilities work as advertised. Progression does indeed carry over from one mode to the next. And I didn't see any loot boxes in the game. And while it's great to see that campaign return, this doesn't take away from the fact that Modern Warfare did make me feel uncomfortable at times. The overall package is a bit messy, and a bit too familiar. Yet at the end of the day, we got ourselves another Call of Duty game that manages to stay fresh enough and bring enough new to keep the excitement levels exactly where they need to be. Infinity Ward has said all along they want to make a single player story that is relatable and reflective of combat in our modern world. The name of the game is Modern Warfare after all, so it's understandable the developers wanted to craft an experience that'll stir some emotions. War is messy, and sometimes the line is blurred between good and evil. Over the years, I've certainly become desensitized to depictions of violence in games and on TV. While Modern Warfare isn't exactly an HBO series filled with unadulterated sex and gut-churning violence, Modern Warfare does have its share of brutally gruesome moments and scenes that just make you a bit uncomfortable. In saying that, Infinity Ward never really crosses the line. Sure, the goalposts have moved over the years in what society has deemed appropriate and inappropriate in video games. But there were certainly some moments where Infinity Ward could have shown us, for instance, a brutal rape scene, or kids being murdered on screen, but they didn't, and I'm relieved they didn't. That being said, the single player does depict scenes of children killing the bad guys, and the use of chemical weaponry is part of the experience, so expect to be rattled by some of the scenes in the game. Regardless, it's nice to see the single player mode return. For a while last year I wasn't sure if it would ever come back given the popularity of the multiplayer modes, and well, those modes are a financial cash cow for Activision. Yet, I'm relieved it's back, and I was entertained. Sure, the campaign follows that same Call of Duty template we've become familiar with, and it's super short. Modern Warfare clocks in at around 5 to 6 hours. Even by Call of Duty standards, this is a tad too short. There are probably many reasons for this, but I suspect the new engine may be partially to blame. It is a graphical powerhouse after all, and the level design is pretty stunning. There's only so much content Infinity Ward can cram into the game. Regardless, I did expect a bit more. Another knock is that there's no collectibles to be found, and very little reason to explore the levels. Previous Call of Duty games featured collectibles, and a reason to look through every nook and cranny. You don't get that this time around. Perhaps this is due to the level of realism the development team wanted to maintain, but I don't know, I can only speculate. As I mentioned, visually the campaign is breathtaking. The cutscenes feature some of the best animations I've ever seen in a Call of Duty game. There are times you'll need to defend a base or snipe enemy at a distance, and it is in these moments you can really soak in the scenery. Other times you just need to jet through the levels at a brisk pace, so you don't really have time to appreciate the graphics. Modern Warfare's campaign does stay true to the franchise by delivering a mostly linear experience, where you'll move from one objective to another, and from one giant set piece to another. You'll pilot air drones, use your sniper rifle to shred enemies while taking into account wind and distance. You'll help folks escape scary situations by hacking into security cameras. You'll command a gunship, you'll call airstrikes, and even make dialogue choices. While the variety is appreciated, most of Modern Warfare's single player involves gunning down enemies with the assortment of weapons at your disposal. And that's okay. After a year off, this is exactly what I wanted. I don't need a giant open world time suck. I just want something I can bang out in a day and move on to the multiplayer. I think that is what makes Modern Warfare pretty good. It does have something for everyone. In addition to that single player romp, there is a brutally difficult Spec Ops co-op mode, a varied multiplayer mode which includes the new Gunfight 2v2 mode. There's classic 6v6, 10v10, night vision maps, and a massive ground war mode which can accommodate over 60 players. I don't know what those exact numbers are, but there were a lot of players in the games I played. There are 23 maps out of the box, which is something I have yet to see in a Call of Duty game. Granted, some of these maps are reskin night maps and those tiny 2v2 maps, but still, 23 is mighty impressive. Even more impressive when you consider the size and the scale of those ground war maps. They are gigantic. And I haven't even mentioned the 5 Spec Ops maps, which by themselves are pretty large. So yeah, there's a ton of online content here. There's no doubt Call of Duty's multiplayer mode remains top priority for the development team. And it shows with this year's offering. The removal of the Season's Pass and making all current and future maps available to everyone across all platforms is fantastic. There's no denying that. While there will be a battle pass, as I mentioned before, we are told that these items that basically have a functional purpose, will not be behind a paywall. Now, it remains to be seen exactly what kind of microtransactions will be included in the game, but I'm confident it'll be limited to cosmetic items, skills, and boosts. Stuff that really doesn't give you an advantage online. The crossplay abilities is also going to be a game changer for the franchise. At the event I attended, we played under the most optimal conditions. I'm not going to deny that. I played on a PS4 Pro and competed against PC players, and I did find the PC players tended to perform quite well. I don't have the stats to back it up, and I don't really know how good these guys are, but it sure felt like the PC players were kicking my ass. But this wasn't surprising at all. All the multiplayer modes we have come to enjoy are back. TDM, Domination, Kill Confirmed. And they play exactly as you would expect. Gunfight, Modern Warfare's 2v2 mode, is intense, and the matches are super quick. If you're someone like me that likes to hunker down with one weapon while playing online, you'll struggle in this mode because you do need to pick up different weapons. Yet, there's no denying I had a ton of fun playing it, and likewise, the ground war maps offer up some enjoyable games as well. Sure, if you're really good with a sniper rifle, you'll have a good time. And I noticed many players camping at high levels with those rifles, which was annoying as all hell. But the size of the maps are immense. It almost felt like a battle royale map, where you fly in helicopters, drive tanks, and ATVs. Much like the 2v2 mode, Spec Ops mode is intense and requires a certain skill set. In other words, you need to be good at Call of Duty and be able to communicate effectively as a team. I was caught off guard at how hard this mode was. I mean, it was punishing. Typically, Call of Duty co-op modes have a progression system, and slowly ramp up difficulty as you move along. This isn't the case in Spec Ops. With each map, it isn't long before you're completely surrounded by enemies and struggling to stay alive. Playing as a team and having the right weapon loadout is critical, and we found that out the hard way many, many times. Now, I can appreciate what the developers attempted to accomplish with Spec Ops. They want to make a mode that isn't a breeze, something with replayability. I get it. But the randomness of the enemy spawns was a tad infuriating. It felt like there was no rhyme or reason when it came to those spawns. They came at you from 360, and it just seems silly. The objectives themselves are pretty basic, essentially involve running from one objective to another. It's really all about hustling, surviving, and watching each other's back. Go in without a strategy, like we did, and you'll get crushed like a grape. Call of Duty Modern Warfare does everything fans of the franchise could ever want. You get the triumphant return of the single-player campaign, crossplay that actually works, maps and weapons available to everyone, and a robust multiplayer experience. Modern Warfare isn't the best Call of Duty game in the series, but at the very least it pushes the series back in the right direction, and fans should be plenty happy with what Infinity Ward has brought to the table this year.